debate and all debates about food is that everyone should have access to the food that they need, and that ought not to be a controversial thing to say. The Office for National Statistics today reported that food prices continue to rise, with annual food inflation hitting 16.5%, the highest rate for 45 years, with staple items such as tea, pasta and bread rising sharply. Alongside that, the UK is set to suffer the sharpest decline in economic growth of any other European nation, with a drop in growth of 1.4% in 2023, which compares very unfavourably to a small independent country similar to Scotland, such as Ireland, which will see its economy grow by around 3%. And the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee told MPs that Brexit added 6% to UK food prices, or £210, as the London School of Economic Study indicated. And that's caused real harm and a real terms cut of 2.6% to wages across the UK. Now, I know that's uncomfortable for the Brexit enthusiasts in the Labour Party, but there it is. Add on to that the inflationary pressure created by the exchange rate going down due to Brexit. Mix that through with the consequential increase in interest rates despite a recession, as explained by the former Bank of England Governor Mark Carney. And add all that together with the complication of the disastrous mini-budget, which we're now supposed to pretend didn't even happen, which blew a £30 billion hole in the UK's finances. And here we all are. Now my constituents in North Ayrshire and Arran and households across the UK are struggling to pay for essentials. Wages are eroded in the face of soaring inflation, where even buying food becomes a challenge, much less heating your home. And where does this leave us? Food banks in Scotland experienced their busiest 6 months on record from April to September, providing 116,000 emergency food parcels during that period, with 40,000 parcels for children, a 29% increase in the previous year, the most parcels ever delivered for children in Scotland by food banks in the Truss network. And alongside that, we have the issue of food security itself. Now, we know that Ukraine has had an impact, as has soaring costs of fertiliser and energy costs in food production. But we need to take action now to better understand the full impact of challenges and disruption to our food supply chain, how industry and government could work together to manage and mitigate the resulting impacts on the cost of food products. The Scottish Government has established the Food Security and Supply Task Force jointly with industry experts, the first of its kind in the UK, and I would hope that the UK Government will follow the Scottish Government's example and the Good Food Scotland strategy. As my honourable friend from Coatbridge, Christen and Bellshill has told us, the Scottish Government is doing all it can with the very limited powers that it has, and has allocated almost £3 billion in this financial year to help households face the cost of living increases, including £1 billion in providing services and financial support not to be found anywhere else in the UK, including the Child Scottish Payment, which has increased by 150% in less than 8 months to £25 per eligible week per child for those aged between 6 and 15 years old, and free school meals for all primary 1 to 5 children, and that will be rolled out for all primary pupils soon. But let's not kid ourselves. The real way to tackle inequality is to have control over the full range of tax and welfare powers. So anything the Scottish Government tries to do is to tackle inequality. It's really doing so with one hand tied behind its back, with 85% of welfare powers reserved to Westminster. The honourable gentleman from Plymouth pointed out how wealthy the UK is, but it's also the most unequal in Europe. It is this reality that the UK Government must waken up to and come to terms with. The shocking reality that work is no longer a route out of poverty. Indeed, the Institute of Public Policy and Research found that the chances of being pulled into poverty have doubled for households where 2 people work. That is a disgrace. So, Doing nothing is not an option. For those who are really struggling, what is already being done is simply not enough. So really what we need to hear is what more will be done. And I sincerely hope that the Minister will respond to the debate in that spirit. And I hope he responds from the starting point that everyone should have access to the food they need. And whatever he plans to say about what has already been done to support needs to be built on, because it's not enough.